When I say finding childcare and leaving your newborn more or less with complete strangers and having to go back to work is a terrifying experience, that's no exaggeration. Daycares are often filled to the brim, so parents are often left settling and navigating this middle ground of finding a reputable establishment, but also somewhere that has space for their child. If you've been in this situation, you've likely experienced finding the perfect daycare only to find out they didn't have any space. So then you feel guilty for having to settle for one that seemed good enough, but wasn't exactly what you were hoping for. At least that's the experience for many Americans, which is really just a testament to our country's lack of maternity leave, but that's a conversation for another day. But I'd like to assure you that that's not the reality for today's story. The Rocking Horse Ranch in Savage, Minnesota was one with a very good reputation. People could feel like their children were safe there because of how long they had been open and in service to the community. They were assured that the staff were highly credentialed, and not to mention the majority of the caregivers had been there for an excess of 15 years. But that wasn't the case for one member of the staff. This is 18-year-old Theah Russel. Theah Russel had only been employed by the Rocking Horse Ranch for 3 weeks when an 11-month-old in her care named Harvey Mucklebust lost his life. But before I tell you the details of what happened, I want to go ahead and let you know this was no accident. This was not due to negligence. This was by Theah Russel's own admission, done on purpose. And what she did will leave you wondering how someone so cruel and demented could even exist. Initially, the report was that Harvey was put down for a nap. He was not falling asleep, so Russel reportedly patted his back until he fell asleep. But then she quote-unquote spontaneously told another daycare worker to check on Harvey. When she did, she came out holding him. He was blue and non-responsive. That's when Russel called 911.
After 4 months of investigation, a woman is in custody for the death of an 11-month-old boy at a Savage daycare. In September, Harvey Mucklebust was at Rocking Horse Ranch childcare when he stopped breathing. He later died at the hospital. Police say that followed an incident at the same facility involving a 4-month-old. Investigators say that child also stopped breathing on 2 different days but survived.
Yeah, you heard that right. There were 2 victims in this case. Just a few days before Harvey lost his life, there was a 5-month-old that reportedly stopped breathing for a short time, but began breathing again before the paramedics arrived. She was taken to the hospital and diagnosed with what they call a brief, resolved, unexpected event. It was reported that they took her home over the weekend and she seemed fine for the rest of the weekend. So on Monday morning, September 22nd, they took her back as usual. But shortly after she got there, they got a call that she was vomiting blood. And I'd like to stop here to say that I have seen a lot of people in comment sections, etc., talking about how they would never have taken that baby back on Monday morning. But the truth is, things like this do happen. And I think the majority of people wouldn't really come to the conclusion, their first conclusion, that the daycare worker was suffocating the baby and that's why she stopped breathing. You would think that, you might be afraid of something like SIDS or something like that. So taking her back on Monday morning, I don't put any blame on the parents for that at all, especially if she was released by doctors and she had been fine all weekend. But it would be revealed after what happened to Harvey that she was clearly involved in both of the incidents with the 5-month-old as well. Theah Russel initially denied having any involvement in what happened to Harvey Mucklebust, but with that incident and the incident with the 5-month-old, police were sure they had their person. She was the common denominator, and so they pressed further. She was arrested in January, and during that interview, she told a disturbing story.
10 and 1013 in service 1007. Savage Duty Crew, this is your page for a high priority medical at Rocking Horse Ranch, 14859 Louisiana Avenue South. For a 10-month-old baby that's not conscious and not breathing, time of page is 10:11.
She admitted to choking him because he was crying in his crib, and she choked him until he stopped breathing. She then admitted to doing it to the baby girl, but the way she describes this scene is just, ugh. She said the first time she did it to the infant girl, which you'll remember it was on the Friday when she was taken to the hospital, that she stopped because she got scared when the girl turned purple. Then she did it again on the following Monday, but again said she stopped because she got scared. It would seem the reason that Harvey died when she did it was because she refused to look at him because of how scared it made her when she saw the change in the infant girl's face. And she even admitted that the way she did it was by putting her fingers down their throats. And she admitted there was absolutely no motive behind this. I think she just got some enjoyment out of it. And the police have their own idea as to why she did it.
Theah Russel was a common denominator in each of these incidents. She had last contact with each of the affected children immediately prior to these events. Notably, she had only been employed with the daycare for 3 weeks at that time. Her behavior and actions at the scene immediately raised suspicion, drawing investigative focus to her as the primary person of interest. Investigators conducted an exhaustive review of Theah's background, including in-depth interviews with family members, friends, previous employers, and other personal contacts. This revealed a documented history of attention-seeking behavior, including her making multiple 911 calls reporting nonsensical incidents and simply hanging up. Also learned were past incidents involving starting fires at a church camp and erratic behavior toward other children. Based on the totality of the evidence in this 3 months investigation, we had probable cause to believe Theah Russel intentionally suffocated these children on 3 occasions to seek attention, and that third incident tragically resulted in the death of Harvey Mucklebust. During questioning, Theah confessed to intentionally suffocating the 2 children in an attention-seeking act.
So she admitted to doing this for attention. Well, I'll tell you where she's going to get a lot of attention for doing something like this, and that's prison. But I don't want to skip past the accountability of the actual daycare facility, because while a background check may not have revealed those fake 911 calls and possibly not even the fire starting, I guess, there's absolutely no reason that someone working at the facility for less than 3 weeks, who at the age of 18 couldn't have had very much experience, should have been the one working in the infant room. That one requires the most hands-on care of all the classes. And she sure as hell shouldn't have been unsupervised. And another thing, are there not cameras in each class? Because common sense of a daycare facility running for 20 years, I would think would have cameras in every class. And as soon as that Friday incident happened and that 5-month-old had to go to the hospital, I would be checking those cameras to see exactly what happened. And that would have kept Harvey Mucklebust from losing his life. When we send our kids to daycare, we obviously have thoughts that the worst could happen. Accidents can happen. But I don't think that our fears initially go to, is the daycare worker going to intentionally hurt my child in this kind of capacity? This is absurd, and it's heartbreaking, and I feel so deeply for this family. Obviously, the blame is 100% on Theah Russel. She has admitted to doing such. But I feel like there are so many protocols that were either skipped or passed over that could have saved Harvey Mucklebust's life. All right, take a deep breath. I know that one was heavy. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. If you care about keeping kids safe online and in real life, then I welcome you to subscribe and hit that notification bell to support me in that mission. I thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.